So here we have a Vape Grus, and it has a beautiful zebra wood side panels. It's a nice mod, 21,700. But this part here is kind of familiar. So if we look at a very well-known dna75c board, and we look at there, we can see this. See the switches here, and we see the fire button there. If we line those up the same, I wonder if it will fit. So we've got a collection of screwdrivers here, Torx or stars, and we've got to find a method of getting into this. So from what I can see here is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the base, and you've got 2 on the atomizer. Obviously this one doesn't fit, so what we'll do to start with is we'll take out the battery. So flick that up, unscrew. A lot of people don't like these, but it's a good system. And we've got the battery cap there. You can see the battery cap vent holes, and you've got 4 screws in there, and that clamps that little holder in place. So we'll put that to one side, take the battery out, and then let's see if this will fit. Yes, indeed it does. Now it's got to fit pretty accurately in there, so if we take them out to slowly start. Okay, so we'll take those out. So we'll have 2 pots, top and bottom. So if we take that one there, just take that out. That's quite a deep screw there. And we'll take this one, we'll just undo it very slowly. That's 2. And then we've got 2 tiny little screws here. See those 2 little tiny screws? They're the same size Torx. We'll just take that one out, and we'll take that one out. Okay, so lid on. The reason why I put it in here is they're not going to go all over the carpet. Oh, knocked you there. And then we'll do the same on the top. So we've got, comparing it to the base, let's see how long those screws are. So the same length, same length. So top 2. There's a tiny, if we get this here, if we put that in front of the camera, I don't know if you'd be able to see that. Let's get that there. You see the blue? Can you see the blue on that there? That's a tiny bit of thread lock. That's to secure the screw in place. And then we'll do the next one as well. So we'll do that there as well. So we'll take these out. So you've got the screws off and free. That is quite a simple thing. So that ring is your negative ring, pops off. That's a negative ring on the battery there, so that comes off. So we'll put that in there. And then we'll just pull out very carefully the battery sleeve. So I don't know if we can see inside there now. You see there, and this looks like it's got a plastic carriage. There we go. So that's very simple to remove. So you can see the actual screw threads inside there. I'm doing this all blind. And so let's have a look, see what the top one's like. Yeah, looks like, let's pull that, we've got a curl There we go. So now you can see inside there. So this part here, why they haven't soldered the 510 onto the base of there and on the side, I'm not too sure. It seems to be all one piece. And then you've got your negative for your 510 there as well. So you see that on the other side, that's there. So what I've got to do now is this has all got to come out base wise. So this has all got to come out via the base. So I'm going to have to ease that back, which you can see the buttons there, look. So if I see those buttons moving, if I pull this too quick, all those buttons are going to drop. So what I'm going to do is desolder that 510, negative and positive, and then we'll take it down through the base and have a look from there. So I'm going to go and do that. Put my lid on my screws. Go and do that now. Okay, now we've desoldered these 2 points. Positive there, well, positive there, and then negative on that side. A lot of heat, I will say that. This is a big slab of metal here, so you have to put a lot of heat in. It's no good trying to do this with your 10-watt Maplin solderer iron, because you're not going to get the heat in there. The positive one, that's not so bad, but the negative, there is solder there and there's quite a lot of heat to heat this up to break the solder, so that's taken off. The ring method, the ring part here that you can see that's got one negative tab, is the bit that bit screws into. I would say that that's probably about 0.5 pitch. It's quite a fine thread, but it is, they're really nice and slick, but it is a ring as such that fits inside. Hence why, by the looks of it, the way it is based at the bottom, that's why your negative is on here and not on the chassis, because this is completely separate part, so not a brilliant negative connection. Now that we've done that, if we can see these cables now are eased, and we can literally, if we're careful enough, just lift this out. There we go. So you've got the buttons inside, which you can see those buttons there, and then you got a screen. Can you remove those at all? Let's see if we can take one out. It doesn't look, yeah, they come out. Standard plastic button there. So I want to keep this, yeah, I want to keep this horizontal as such on its face so that those can go back in. So we'll sort that, put that back in there like so. So it's like that. We'll put that to one side, keep it face down, and then on here we've got USB, which is not a micro USB, which I can't remember its name actually, Samsung, something along those lines, Android. Then you got your silicone. This looks like this comes off. So if we carefully, yeah, they come off there like so. So if we take those out, that clicks on, so that's the bottom one. We've got location pins, that's the top one. So we'll put those to one side as well. And we've got a foam screen holder. There's your positive on, yeah, that's spring loaded on top, which is good. Okay, so we've got those there. So how to get into this? By the looks of it, we've got some clips here. So we're going to have to use flat bladed screwdriver, and then what we're going to do is push down on there. Yeah, that's ease that out. Push down on there. That comes out like so. Try not to snap plugs. That one there. Just a gentle push. That one there. Yeah. Right. Now that that's loosened, we don't want to pull it away straight away because we've got a ribbon cable in there. So we have a ribbon cable that looks like we've got to flick this part off. Can you see that there? Right, so if we see if we can, yeah, so we pull that gently. Now, and unlike a, there we go. So, yeah, it looks that way. We've got to be able to flick that up. So you see that part there? Just in there, see it? Where the screwdriver is? It's a little thing, a little connector that keeps it. There we go. So all it is a clamp, but unlike Evolv's, which do at the bottom, this one does at the top. So you've got your 3 switches and your fire. So if we take this one out here, so we've got a screw in there. Get our pot back. That's the base, that's the top. Actually, it's the other way around. That's the top. So we'll put that one in. And we've only got one other one here. That's the base one there. This one has self-tapping screws. Put that in there. This comes out. Okay. So what we have here, we'll take that out there. We're going to have to do this one. That is very tight. That's a very tight self-tapper. So if we take that out. Yeah, it's very tight self-tapping screw there. So we take that out. Let's see if we can. This looks like it locks in place. Yeah, we got 2 more clips in there to do that. What we'll do is we'll desolder it and see if we can use a slightly different method there. But if we compare it now, it is pretty well the same. To make this, let's have a look. So if we replace it like so, wow, look at that. It seems very odd that these two match up with these perfectly on the dna75c. This one, in actual fact, it matches up identical. If we look at the, have we got 2? There, we've only got 1 here. We've only got 1 securer on the top there and 1 there. So is there a chance that if you were pushing down on the fire button it could? No, it seems to be good. So you could put the 2 screws back in there. Let's have a look at the wiring on the back. If we compare them side by side, and it says here on the top, so if we can see that on the top there, so that is VO plus, that says out on the DNA, and VC minus, and that says ground. So these match the atomizer and the negative for the atomizer completely. The only difference between the dna75c and this board here is that the grounds for the screws are not present on the Lost Vape one. Not present at all. So you couldn't use a ground for the 510 negative there. You couldn't use that. The bottom side of the board here, same screw layout. Battery minus the same, but on the Lost Vape you're missing the battery plus that you have on the DNA75. What they've done is they've shifted it up. It's to there. So the thing that you're going to have to do is either join that cable and make it go to there so it sits on the side, or replace the cable completely. Now, I will think about that and say I might replace this cable completely. My problem that I have here is, even though I've took this tight screw out on the top on the positive, I've also got these two tabs that look like they're locked in that I'm going to have to push out to get that out. So there's going to be a spring which I can see in there, and this could all go horribly wrong. But apart from that, this is crazily the same. How does it fit inside there? My only problem that I might have is that hole there. If I put that in there, there's going to be a bit of a gap. It's not going to be as filling as this one here. Aesthetically wise, it could be, if you're really picky over it, could be. But there are two different types of USB connectors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to solder, replicate what's been done here. Have a look at that. What's that? 18 AWG. So I'm going to have a look at what Evolv say and see if I can use the 18 AWG, or I might have to go for a thicker wire. But I'm going to keep the lengths to the same, and we'll go from there. Let's clear these out of the way first. Now, this could be problematic. We've got a screen here. So if I just carefully peel this back, just like it's a stick-on option. I just carefully peel. What I'm doing is peeling off this foam securing insert, and then just peel that off. I'm trying to keep it as uniform as I can. I'm going to peel that off. Now I need to leave that somewhere it's not going to stick as much as possible. We'll put that there. Right. So we'll put that, and we've got a screen here. Now we've got to get this screen out so we can see the delicate. So is it gonna just pop out? No, it's gonna pop out. Now I believe that, hang on, I'm getting in a proper mess with this. That has got to stay like so. I believe that underneath this screen here that you can see, there is another sticky pad. See, it's not coming out very easily. So this is one of these do or die situations where I'm either going to wreck the screen or just gently push it out. Gently push it out. There we go. Yeah. A little tiny piece of double-sided tape there, see? There's the screen. Now if we compare this to a screen that's for an Evolv, let's have a look at it. We got an Evolv screen here. Yeah, we might have a little bit of a problem there, look. That screen is slightly bigger. So chances of it fitting in so there is gonna be quite slim. Yeah, that's not gonna fit in there. So what I'm gonna have to do on this occasion, it's not as simple as you think, is I'm gonna have to mill that section on either side. You could do it with a Stanley if you're very careful, but if we look at the screen connections, we look at that, put them next to each other. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to fit. So this screen is longer. The screen is longer than the DNA one by about 1 mil, 2 mil, but it's shorter, well, wider, thinner, I should say, than the dna75. If we put them next to each other, you see that? If we put them like that, that's unfortunate. I thought this was going to be very, very simple, but it's not. So you've got that there, look, it won't click into that carriage, which is a pity really. It would on the back. That's lovely, but it doesn't on the front. So we're going to have to just mill a tiny section away from there, a tiny section away. If we look and see, let's have a look, what does it say on it? It is a P05609, and this is a TOOGES 20 1511. The connections on both are different. You can actually see the wire connections. We look at those connections on there. You can see they're actually different on the screen, the way they're set out on here and here. Unfortunate, but we'll do that, rewire it and see how we get on. You could, in theory, if you've got a Stanley knife, you could Stanley that down if this is on a completely flat surface with those. If you put it on something that's completely flat, you could Stanley that down and Stanley that down. But at this present moment in time, I'm going to have to mill this away. Just take that section out and see how we come up with. I might just take it right the way back on here and see what we come up with. Regards the actual cables itself and what Evolv say, these 18 gauge are not too bad for the battery, but for the outputs, they're too thin, really. 18 AWG should be 16 or 14, should be slightly thicker. This is not silicone, it's PVC. I will be using silicone. I'll replace these and see how we get on. The only problem that I can envisage is when I put the mod back together again, is that if it's thicker cables, it might be a bit more tricky to put it back together again, but we will see. Fiddly, sliding back the chassis. This tube serves a big principle, which I didn't realise before. I thought it was just a soft battery knocking about. In actual fact, that tube clamps this board here, the actual carriage. If I take that clamps it in place. So it's quite well made as such. So you've got that clamps it in place. Now that the dna75c board is in, if we just, yeah, clicky buttons. You can hear that, that's clicky buttons. So we've got the top here. So what we've got your positive at the top there. That's in place again. And so what we need to do, you've got plenty of space around here to actually curl those wires round. And curl that wire around there to actually solder on. So you've got opposites here, which is quite Good, so you'll have the positive there and the negative on there, and you'll be able to push those back down in place. You'll be able to do that. You see that? Positive there, negative underneath. I can see them, but I don't know if you can. So you put those in place. Battery ring is the same. So this battery ring looks like the way it's done is like so. That fits in its cup. Let's have a look. So if we look at the base of this, does it go? It looks like it's got to fit in some way. So the ring, the bottom ring here, if we look again at that, if I get my handy tweezers, lift that out, and see the nib there and the nib there, that fits in between those two, and just slide it around. So I'm struggling here, because there we go. So that's got to fit like so. See, negative needs to be soldered onto the base there. That holds that ring in place. Very ingenious how it's done. This is, well, judging by the weight, it's cast. It's cast part. And we got M2, it says here, which I presume means that these are M2 screws. Nicely done, finished. And then that will fit onto the bottom. So you can easily curl that cable back into place. That will go onto there. You've got to remember, when you're assembling and disassembling these things, you're going to need some sort of cable, just for the fact that if you're taking the base off, you've got to be able to put it together again when the people are actually putting this together. So they leave some cable there so they can curl the cable round so they can take the base off. Same with the top. They're not long for any other reason than that, so you can slide it in. So now we've got those, and the screen's in place as well. Clicky buttons. We can now solder that ring onto there, like so. So we keep that in place there so we know where to put it. And these two on top, screw it back together again, and then we can fire it up. The only downside to this is the gap inside there. Compared to where the other board would have been, you can see it's got a bigger shield around it. This one, you haven't got that. Is there a possibility you could put something in there? If you cut something out or mill something out, you could do. But for me, aesthetically wise, it doesn't really make that much difference. But I go dna75c. We'll see what it's like when it's back together again. Right, so I've re-soldered this now. So if I can ease that up gently, you can see. Negative side first. So I soldered the negative into the top, and then I've soldered the positive in. I've just curled it, put it into, curl them around, put it into situ. So because these are heavier wires, this is a bit more tricky to do. So what I need to do now is put that base into those slugs there. Actually, I'll put my magnifiers on. You see those. So I'm trying to do this in front of the camera badly, and then get those in. So that's in place. So what I need to do now is to just push that into there like so. Get those in. It clicks. Get those in. Hold it down like so. There we go. A bit of pressure now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put that into place. The reason why I'm putting the battery cap on is secure that in. So what I need now is the bottom screws. Put that in there. And then I need the screwdriver, which I put somewhere. Hang on. Okay, need screwdriver in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put two screws in, and then just pinch tight them, less than pinch tight them, just secure the base in first. So that's that one, that's that one. So the battery cap clamps to that ring and clamps to the base. That's why I put the battery cap in. Top side, put the battery in. So I need two screws for the 510, so I put that into there. Same again. All I'm going to do is just tighten it down. Hopefully this will work. If not, then wow, I'd have to re-solder all the previous board back in, and we'll see. First time I'm doing this is always the most difficult. The more times you do, the easier it gets. There we go, so I've done those two. So those two are now done. Let's check the 510. Yeah, that seems to be quite good. Okay, so what we got now, we take that out, take the base out, and then you need to put a battery in, 21700. We haven't got any blue sparks or anything, that's a good sign. And then we'll just wind the battery down. Oh, that seems to be okay. And now let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. No atomizer, so let's put an ATI on. Atomizer on. Yes. Well, let's boost that up a bit. Let's see. Let's say 27.5 watts stainless steel mesh in here. So open up the vent. Yeah, seems to be quite good. Screens in there, that's nice. The only thing, as I've already mentioned here, you can see this here, that's a little bit bigger than normal, mainly because down to that. But does it work? Of course it does. Okay, so that's done. Right, so the next thing we've got to do now is we've tested it. Take the battery back out. So that's the only thing. I should have done that slightly different. So unscrew this here. Take the battery out. Now that plastic sleeve is securing the front of this board fully in. Although it's still working and clicking. So what we need to do now is put the back screws in. This seems to be to tighten it down, so we put those in, same size Torx, put those in, and put those down like so. So, that's tight, and then we'll do the same on this side. Tighten those down. And that's tight. That's tight. Yeah. So that's all there. Put battery back in again. Door on. I'm not winding it down like a submarine hatch. Yeah, fine. Lost Vape Grus, dna75c.